Do you ever feel like you have this brilliant idea, maybe in a meeting, a really crucial one?
Oh, yeah. You're ready to share it?
Exactly. But the moment you open your mouth, it's just, it doesn't
Yeah.
quite penetrate.
Yeah.
It just sort of hangs there.
It doesn't land. I know that feeling.
It's not just about what you say, that it's about how deeply it's received. So, welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
This is where we take foundational texts, ideas, and really pull out the stuff you can use, like, right away. Actionable knowledge.
And today we're diving into John Hasling's guide, The Art of Public Speaking. It's pretty definitive.
Right.
And the core idea here is really powerful. It argues that public speaking, it's not just for stages or big auditoriums.
No.
It's a critical life skill and, honestly, a competitive professional skill, too. The book basically says mastering communication is like a shortcut.
A shortcut to what, though?
To increasing your influence,
Yeah.
both personally and, in your career.
That really raises the stakes, doesn't it? We found this amazing quote. It's attributed to Wang Kang, or maybe Yu Kang, the founder of New Oriental.
Ah, yes. Powerful stuff.
He puts it so sharply. He just says, eloquence is a competitive skill. Full stop.
And he connects it directly to success, doesn't he? He goes on to say something like, your career will be as big as the number of people you can speak to publicly.
Wow. That's a big claim.
It is, but it highlights why understanding how to do it well matters so much. It's about getting that edge.
Exactly. And Hasling, he boils success down into three key areas. These are going to be our pillars for today's discussion.
Okay.
The audience, the message, and the speaker. And here's the interesting part. We're not starting with your notes or what you want to say.
No. Where do we start?
We start with them, the people listening, the audience.
Right. So pillar one, knowing your audience. This is huge. Most of us, when we have to give a talk or presentation, the first thing we think is, okay, what information do I need to deliver?
Yeah. What's my point?
Exactly. But Hasling just flips that completely. He says effective speaking starts way before that. It starts with truly understanding who is receiving your message.
Okay.
You absolutely must spend time figuring out their hidden map, you could call it, their beliefs, their interests, what makes them tick.
A hidden map. I like that. But let's get specific here. What kind of, research are we talking about? Is it just knowing the age group or the company they work for?
It goes way beyond that. You need the kind of details that might reveal potential disconnects or friction points.
Okay, like what?
Well, yes, demographics are a starting point, average age, gender balance, maybe their social status, sure.
Wow.
But Hasling argues we need to go deeper. What are their political leanings? Are they generally more conservative or more liberal? What about cultural backgrounds, maybe even religious views?
Whoa, hang on. Political leanings. Why would a speaker, let's say someone addressing a local council about, I don't know, recycling, why do they need to know council members' politics? Feels a bit like invasive, maybe?
It might feel that way, but think about it from a communication perspective.
Yeah.
It fundamentally shapes how you frame your message, your vocabulary.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, imagine you're proposing, like you said, a new town initiative. Maybe it's a big infrastructure project. If you know your audience, the council leans conservative, what kind of language resonates?
Maybe. Financial responsibility, long-term value,
Yeah.
ROI.
Exactly. Fiscal responsibility, asset value, investment. You frame it that way. Now, if they lean more liberal, you might shift your emphasis.
Too.
Community benefit, social access, quality of life improvements, maybe environmental impact. See, the core proposal might be identical.
But the language, the persuasive language, changes completely based on that audience map.
Precisely. You're tapping into their existing values.
So it's not about being sneaky or changing your actual proposal.
Not at all.
It's about tailoring the vocabulary so they can actually hear it without putting up defensive walls right away.
You got it. The source uses a simple, really clear example. Let's say you're invited to speak to a local youth association.
Okay.
You can probably guess, right? They're likely, 25, 35 maybe? Educated? Probably employed?
Interested in local issues, maybe housing costs, social events, career stuff.
Exactly. So you know there are likely concerns. You wouldn't start by trying to convince them why local issues matter.
No, you jump right in.
You jump straight to connecting your topic, whatever it is, to those concerns they already have. That's how you ensure they don't just politely sit there, they actually listen.
Okay, so pillar one is all about that crucial groundwork, understanding the audience so you can tailor the message. But then pillar two flips the perspective, doesn't it?
It really does.
Hasling argues that to be a truly effective speaker, you first have to master being an effective receiver, a listener. This brings us to what he calls the 2 layers of listening.
Yes, and this concept is really central to his whole philosophy. He emphasizes that active listening means being fully focused on the present moment.
Not thinking about your rebuttal or what you're having for lunch.
Right. Or even just replaying what they said a minute ago. You have to be here now. And when you are, you're processing what you hear on 2 different levels at the same time.
Okay, what are the levels? The first one is layer 1, the cognitive layer, or recognition layer. This sounds like the basic understanding part.
That's right. It's the technical bit. Decoding the meaning, understanding the information, the knowledge being shared.
Seems straightforward enough.
You'd think so, but the book points out something important. Language itself is tricky. It's ambiguous. Words can mean different things to different people. So just grasping the intended meaning, the speaker is trying to get across, requires real concentration. You have to consciously set aside your own assumptions and filters.
Okay, so that's the what? What's layer 2?
Layer 2 is the emotional layer. This is where it gets much richer, much deeper. This is about grasping the speaker's, their emotional state.
Their passion, or maybe frustration, sadness, joy.
Exactly, all of that. And Hasling makes a really interesting point here. He notes that we might easily connect with the big dramatic emotions in, say, a poem or a film. We get the poet's deep sorrow.
Yeah.
But we often completely overlook or maybe filter out the simpler everyday emotions of just a regular person in a meeting. Someone trying to explain something important, maybe something they feel strongly about, but it comes out kind of flat.
Because it's just a Tuesday morning meeting, not a Shakespearean tragedy.
Precisely. We miss those subtle emotional cues, the slight frustration in their voice, the hint of passion behind the technical jargon, and those cues often carry the real meaning, or at least add crucial context.
So how do we actually do that? How do we listen on both the cognitive and the emotional level at the same time? Seems like a lot to juggle.
Well, Hasling is very clear on this. He insists that you must use your eyes as much as your ears. Observing nonverbal cues isn't just like a nice extra.
It's essential.
It's mandatory, he says. To really absorb both messages, the logical one and the emotional one, you have to watch. The nonverbal stuff is speaking, too.
Posture, gestures,
Yeah.
facial expression.
Yeah, even how they emphasize certain words, their vocal tone. All of that provides data. And sometimes that nonverbal data clarifies the spoken words. Other times, it might even contradict them.
Which tells you something important is going on underneath the surface.
Exactly. You have to pay attention to the whole picture.
Which leads us nicely into pillar 3, the speaker's preparation and passion. So you've done your audience research, you understand this two-way street of communication, the listening part, and now you actually have to deliver.
Right. Time to speak. What's the core advice here?
It's simple on the surface, but pretty demanding. The main advice is preparation is never too much.
Never too much. Wow. That sounds exhausting.
It can be, but the goal of all that prep, it isn't just about knowing your facts cold, although that's part of it.
What's the primary goal then?
It's managing anxiety, nervousness. That's the big payoff from intensive preparation. Ah, okay. How does that work?
Well, when you've truly internalized the material, when you deeply understand the flow and the key points, your need to cling to notes just diminishes.
You're not reading, you're talking.
Exactly. And that frees you up. The anxiety naturally goes down. Hasling actually suggests focusing your prep less on memorizing a word-for-word script.
Because if you miss one word, you panic.
Right. Instead, focus on deeply knowing the structure, the flow, the key messages. Internalize those. Then you can talk about them more naturally, more flexibly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's
Yeah.
practical. Okay, so you're prepared. How do you make sure you grab their attention right from the start? Those first few seconds are crucial, aren't they?
Absolutely. And the book highlights a couple of key tools here.
Yeah.
Humor and anecdotes.
The classic icebreakers.
They really work. They do double duty, actually. They help the audience relax and get engaged, but they also help you, the speaker, relax too. A little shared laughter can break a lot of tension.
Good point.
And crucially, the book talks about getting positive feedback early, even nonverbal stuff, like people nodding along, maybe smiling within that first minute or so.
Why is that so important?
Because seeing that engagement, that connection happening right away, it gives you this immediate jolt of self-confidence.
Like, okay, they're with me. This is working.
Exactly. It confirms you've started well,
Okay.
and that positive reinforcement just paves the way, makes the rest of the talk feel easier, more connected.
And ultimately, all this preparation, breaking the ice, building confidence, it all serves the bigger goal, right? Which is
Delivering the message with enough genuine passion that it actually becomes infectious, that it fills the room.
That's the X factor.
That's the X factor. And that passion, it's unlocked by the preparation because you're not bogged down worrying about forgetting your lines or losing your place. You're free to focus on why this topic matters, why you care about it. And that's what connects.
Okay, so we've got these powerful strategies. Know your audience deeply, listen on multiple levels, prepare like crazy to unleash passion. Sounds like a recipe for success.
It is, in many contexts.
But I sense a but coming.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this a bit. How does this translate when we step out into the real, messy, diverse world? Does this highly effective, maybe Western-centric approach always work? Or does it run into conflicts?
That's exactly where this deep dive needs to go next, because the book itself points out this fundamental tension. The communication models often taught, especially in business or academia globally, tend to be rooted in the Western rhetorical tradition. Meaning they often trace back to Aristotle. Think logic, structure, directness, making your case explicitly, using evidence. Logos is heavily emphasized.
Okay, the classic persuasive argument structure makes sense. So what's the conflict? What does that clash with?
Well, it frequently clashes with communication styles that are deeply ingrained in other cultural contexts. Think about many parts of Asia, Africa, the Middle East. Communication norms there might prioritize indirectness or maintaining harmony or showing difference to seniority.
Instead of, say, directly confronting someone with a counterargument, even if it's logically sound.
Exactly. So imagine this scenario. The mainstream effective communication style you're being taught, maybe for career advancement, emphasizes being direct, assertive, laying out your points logically.
Get straight to the point. Be clear.
Right. But what if the communication style you learned from your family, from your community, values the exact opposite? What if directness feels rude or confrontational or like it disrupts the group harmony?
That's a really profound dilemma, isn't it? You're caught between what's supposedly effective in one context and what feels inherently right or respectful in another, perhaps more personal context.
Imagine being told in a workshop, to get your point across, state the problem directly, propose your solution clearly.
Standard advice.
Standard advice. But maybe every instinct you have, based on your upbringing, screams that doing so would be incredibly impolite, maybe even insulting to the person you're speaking to, especially if they're older or more senior.
So you're forced into a choice almost. Adopt this mainstream style to succeed, but feel inauthentic, or like you're betraying your roots. Or stick to your ingrained style and risk being seen as ineffective or unclear, or maybe even passive.
That's the core tension Hasling brings up. How do you navigate that? How do you adapt communication norms that might be necessary for success in certain environments without feeling like you're losing a fundamental part of yourself?
It really highlights that communication isn't just about technique. It's deeply tied to identity and culture.
Absolutely. And the book suggests it takes real awareness and, frankly, courage to adopt new behaviors, new communication patterns, especially when they feel wrong or uncomfortable at first.
It's not just learning a skill, like learning software. It's potentially reshaping how you interact with the world on a very basic level.
Yes. And the key, perhaps, isn't necessarily choosing one style over the other. Maybe it's about recognizing the conflict exists, understanding why the direct style is valued in one context and why the indirect style is valued in another.
And then finding ways to bridge that gap, maybe blending approaches.
Perhaps finding ways to be clear and respectful, structured, and sensitive. It's about acknowledging the challenge, that conflict between perceived effectiveness and personal or cultural comfort, and actively looking for solutions, not just forcing yourself into a mold that doesn't quite fit.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From understanding the audience map to the layers of listening, the power of prep, and now this really important reflection on cultural context. Let's try to boil this down. What are the key takeaways for you listening right now, whether you're gearing up for a big presentation or just trying to be heard better in your daily life?
I think there are three core things to really focus on. First, when you're preparing anything, a talk, an email, even just going into an important meeting, focus relentlessly on tailored influence.
Meaning, go beyond just your agenda.
Way beyond. Use that audience map we talked about. Think about their interests, their values, maybe even those subtle political or cultural leanings. Craft your language, your examples, to connect directly with them. Don't make them do all the work to find the relevance.
Bring it to their doorstep.
Yeah.
Okay, what's number two?
Number two is about shifting your own perspective when you're on the receiving end. Practice deeper connection through listening.
Right, those two layers.
Exactly. Don't just skim the surface, grabbing a basic facts. Concentrate actively on both the cognitive meaning, what are they actually saying, and crucially, tune into that nonverbal emotional subtext.
Watch their face, their body language. What's the feeling behind the words?
Because often that's where the richest information lies. Understanding the full weight of their message, not just the dictionary definition.
Got it. Tailored influence, deeper connection. What's the final takeaway?
And finally, it comes back to the speaker. Ensure genuine delivery. This loops back to preparation.
But not memorization.
Definitely not memorization. Prepare enough, maybe even more than enough, so you know your key points inside and out. You know the structure, the flow.
Why? What does that unlock?
It unlocks your ability to let go of the script, to stop worrying about forgetting things. And that allows your natural, genuine passion for the topic to shine through. That's the real source of confidence, and it's what makes your message truly connect and feel authentic.
So, tailored influence, deeper connection, genuine delivery, those are solid actions.
They really cover the core ideas.
Now, Hasling makes another interesting point about this dynamic, doesn't he? About the communication loop.
Yes, he emphasizes that it's a continuous loop. It's not just speaker transmits, audience receives.
It's more interactive.
Much more. He points out how much the audience's attention, their nonverbal feedback, nods, eye contact, engagement actually fuels the speaker. It encourages them, builds their confidence in real time.
So the listener plays an active role in the speaker's success.
Absolutely. It's a mutual exchange. The speaker needs that engagement to really thrive.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with. If you now realize that your engagement, your visible attention, directly supports and encourages the person who is speaking, how often do you consciously think about that? How often do you make sure that your listening posture, your eye contact, your nonverbal feedback is actively encouraging the people you genuinely want to hear more from? The quiet colleague, the person struggling to make their point.
That's a powerful idea.
It really is. That attentive presence, that focused listening, it's not passive at all. It's actually one of the most active and maybe underestimated communication tools you carry with you into every single room, every conversation. Something to think about.